man.
Thank you.
Exciting.
Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. And today we are joined by director Dale Fabrigar and star Michael Parè from the movie They Crawl Beneath, which is being released tomorrow on digital and Blu-ray. That is October 4th. Make sure to check it out. I want to welcome both of you guys on the show. You guys doing okay today?
Doing
Doing
great.
good here.
Dale, excited? Tomorrow, big day, release of the film?
Yes. Always excited and always nervous all at the same time.
I bet. Now, uh, like we said, you directed this film. What attracted you to the script? What made you want to direct this movie?
I mean, I worked with Suzanne on many projects prior, and it was just this really cool creature feature that I always enjoy working on horror and genre pictures. And we had some concepts batting around, and we really liked it. I really liked the idea. And then, of course, it was a relationship movie as well, which my heart always goes out to. And it's just a really nuanced horror movie. And I don't know, there's those elements that I really like. So we spoke to the writer, and we all incorporated all those ideas in it, and cast it, and there it is. So yeah, it was a unique idea. I mean, these movies, creature movies of this sort have been done, and definitely influenced us, right? But it's when we were trying to push to do things a little differently, because you don't want to do a same carbon copy of something else,
Yeah.
right? More mockbuster, whatever they call them. But so it was different. We were trying to take this seriously, and we really just wanted to make a really kind of cool movie. So, but yeah.
Absolutely. Now, Michael, you play the character of Uncle Bill, which we're going to get to, but we cannot ignore the elephant in the room that we discussed before we got live. When you go to IMDb, you have this huge, impressive resume, 213 credits to your name. God bless you. IMDb has that known for section. And I'm like, how can Eddie and the Cruisers not be in Michael's known for section? My question to you is, now being a veteran, a screen veteran actor, if you had the opportunity now to go back to 82, 83 and talk to your younger self, what advice would you give yourself back then? Just being thrown into this big hit of a film called Eddie and the Cruisers.
I would, I would say it's going to be a long career. Yeah, because when you're that young, it's like you fall into it, you can fall out of it, right? So yeah.
But isn't the
Knowing that,
impression like such success at such a young age in your career? Did it give you a false sense of like, wow, this is not as hard as everybody says? I was a star in a hit movie. What's the difficulty everybody's talking about?
no, I became aware of the magic that is in the movie and television and the entertainment industry. I think there really is magic.
It,
That for some reason, it's like I always say this about directors and it is about actors. Somebody can say a line and nobody laughs. Somebody else says a line and everybody laughs.
yeah,
And what is the magic there? It's a multifaceted. All this stuff has to come into play at just the right moment between action and cut.
absolutely.
And sometimes it's there, and there's just no. You can do 50 takes, and the first take was the best,
Uh,
or I don't know.
it's that intangible thing that you can't put your finger on. Now, you play Uncle Bill. Bill is portrayed as a person who has avoided responsibility his entire life. What was your take on this character? I mean, when you read this script and you read Bill's character, what was your approach going to be on how you were going to play him?
Well, I wanted to get clarity of what the real history of me and Joe was or is, and the take was, it was like the road not taken. If I had gone left instead of right, my life would have been completely different. But since I did go left, it's going to be kind of self-indulgent and into cars and beer and music and smoking cigars and just being like the
Carefree.
uncle that young guys like, but wives and moms don't.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Dale, was there a particular vision on how you wanted to portray Bill and Danny's relationship?
Yeah, and I think it's captured in the film pretty accurately from what I was hoping would be. I mean, when we wrote the characters, uh, we concepted Bill and always had Michael Parè as my model in my head the entire time. So it was always sort of a desire to reconnect and work with him again. But yeah, I knew Mike but would want to explore some other stranger and other facets of his character that he can play. So I knew that would be fun. And then of course, Joseph Almani, who plays Danny, he is just the sweetest, such I mean, what a great guy that guy is. And I just envisioned that young man struggling with a lot in his life, wanting to do right, do good, and yet he has all these relationship challenges. And then not to mention now he's trapped. What do you live for? What do you fight for? So to see them together on the screen and to get the people and the actors that we wanted, that was pretty awesome.
Now, the film has a lot of dream sequences in it. In fact, one of the opening scenes is a dream sequence. Do you want the audience to see that as sort of foreshadowing of what's about to come?
Always. I mean, in every image that you make, there's always a message in there. At least you're thinking about it. It is a foreshadow if you want to think about it. Sure, there's a little fun scare there, and it sets up the tone, all of that visually for the film. Absolutely. But it's really this subtext about his inability to communicate in relationships with a deeper struggle that's going on, which he deals with later on in the film that creeps up on him, so to speak.
Yeah.
But the film is, on the surface, it is a creature movie. Yeah. But all that stuff that happens, it starts to twist a little bit. And we go into, I would say it's a really fun moment when there's a moment that occurs with Uncle Bill, and the audience goes, what is happening here? And that's what we want. I mean, and then you slowly realize this is a little different. What is going on? And it's really cool.
Now, Michael, do you think Bill is trying to make up for his past mistakes, or has he accepted the situation and is just living in the moment?
Well, I think it's both of those things, that he accepted. I have to accept the world as it is, but I want to be there for Joe. I want to be there as an alternate, because he's going to get married. He's going to have a baby and a family and all this stuff. And don't you realize the amount of responsibility and fun you're going to give up? It's like almost like Bill, in a sense, is like Peter Pan. You don't want to grow up, man. It's no fun. It's responsibility. It's being, working hard and being serious, and no more drinking and racing and smoking and doing what you want. And, I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
Exactly. Bill
but in a sense, I'm offering him this, but then I am an example of those choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. The guy wears dirty clothes. He's got the piece of shit car that he's gonna be working on for the rest of his life and never win a street race with. And it's like, it's kind of so, in one sense, it's like, do you really want to grow up? Yeah. And then later on in the show, I'm thinking, kid, you don't want to end up like me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, Dale,
being an uncle is great, but being a dad is the ideal.
Two completely different things. Uncle could be the fun uncle, without the dad responsibilities. Absolutely. Yeah. Now, Dale, there are a lot of hallucinations apart from the dream sequences. Do those hallucinations reveal what Danny's true feelings are towards his Uncle Bill?
Yeah. I mean, that definitely can. Depends on how you want to take it. But yeah, I would say yes. That was the intent.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but, there's a lot of revelations in this film as it goes on. that Danny did not know about until that moment. Why did he have all this, I don't know, sort of pent up disdain for his uncle that comes through in the film?
Yeah, I think that's just laying underneath, you know. I think he, there's little longing looks where he's thinking about his uncle. I think it's that whether they're too long or not long enough, or if it's clear or not. But there's always, just as Michael explained, like, here's this guy I look up to and I like him. He's cool, but look at what he's, it starts to slowly sink in to him. And it's this big inciting incident that occurs that really makes him think about it. And then, as you said, there are moments of twists and revelations that occur that really solidify what he feels.
Suspected or knew all along.
That's right. But I think, too, yeah, that's great. And that's very subtle. Some people may not even capture that or get that on first viewing, and they have to go back and look at photos. He looks at some things and they're like, I mean, I thought it was really obvious, but some people, like, I watched it again, and that second time I like, yeah. So it depends on how it hits you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love those moments.
Me too. Now, Dale, let's talk about the creatures, okay? That now, you as a director, the writer, comes up with sort of an outline of what these things might look like, but it really falls on to you to bring them to life. Did you play around with a lot of different concepts? It looks like it was practical effects. How did you come up with the, I don't even know what to call them. They're creatures that come up from the ground. How did you come up with the concept that ultimately is what we see on the screen?
Well, we knew we wanted those to be what they are, but the writer didn't know what they were going to be like. They just said they wrote the creatures. That's all they were known as. Yeah, that really rested on me and coming up with it, and then finding a really talented special effects creature maker to bring it to life. There were so many things that I wanted more unique for the creatures to do and behave, but we were really limited with our budget. So just to get something that looked cool and menacing, and created by Dan Rebert, a gifted artist. I mean, the guy is he's an artist, man. The way he does it, the work he's done previously. And I saw a film called Itsy Bitsy. I saw his stuff and I said, this is the kind of thing that we need, this artist. And Suzanne said, I'm calling him. And she called him. And I guess because of the situation we were in at the time, things were slow, and he just jumped on the project and dug it. And we had a lot of fun. But he and he did sketches, and I would always push. I wanted it longer and skinnier and a lot more going on, and we just couldn't. So in the end, we ended up creating these that what we were able to work with and afford, and tried to make them, put them in situations so they didn't do always the same thing.
Exactly, yeah. It sounds like everything lined up pretty perfectly. Now, Michael, we see two different versions of Bill. The real life in the moment, let's have some fun. Are you sure you want to get married, like you said? And then we see the Bill that Danny hallucinates. A much more menacing Bill. Pushes Danny's buttons, taunts him. When you were approaching the same character, but two different versions of the same character, how did you approach it? What kind of different mindsets did you get into when you were playing Bad Bill as opposed to I'm your best friend Bill?
Well, like I was saying, it's one thing to be a kid, but when you refuse to grow up, you're kind of, you're kind of a degenerate. It's part of life is to continue to go through the stages. I mean, your days are numbered, and when you're 1 to 18, okay, you're a kid. But from 18 to 25, that's when you grow up.
Yeah.
And 25 to 55, if you haven't grown up, you're not really a good person. It's a selfish, self-obsessed, narcissistic, evil. It's just contrary to what the human experience is supposed to be if you refuse to grow up.
Exactly.
When I say grow up, I mean evolve and be a more compassionate, patient, kind and loving and supportive person. If you're just constantly indulging in yourself, you're becoming a monster.
Exactly.
So that's kind of where that went. And it's like, don't grow up. Why do you want to grow up? Why do you want to be this? Come on, we're gonna have fun. It's like, you know, in Pinocchio, go to that island they go to.
Yeah.
You know, it's yeah.
And I think
so
the word,
that's where I went.
and I think the word you used, narcissist, self-absorbed, selfish, all those words hit it right on the head. Now, Dale, the creatures sort of remain a mystery throughout the whole film. Was that done intentionally? I'm talking about origins. Where did it come from? What are they? We get a little bit of information, but not a whole bit. Not a whole lot. Was that the intent?
Yes. There was a lot of discussion about how much information we should give. And there is a lot of information, actually. And I always thought it was just exposition, talking about it. This is what it is. This is where it came from. This is why it's happening. But the reality is, I always find mystery more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept telling producers, as we're doing this, is less is more, actually. I mean, we can find out and reveal more. But the reality is, it's the first one. We don't know what they are or where they came from. I mean, I will say that they're not aliens from space. I could say that. They came from the ground. But what caused them to do this? And we sprinkled in reasons for what they might have or why they are growing or whatnot and shedding or molting or whatnot. But I mean, is that even really the truth? I'm always intrigued by this idea that we know the rules. Hey, if I shoot this guy with a silver bullet, guy's going to go down. If you don't, he's not. But what happens when you shoot that guy with a silver bullet and you were wrong?
Yeah.
That fascinates me. So this idea of rules and breaking them or our understanding truths to be what they are fascinates me. So, I love skirting that a little bit here and just saying just what we need. Because at the end of the day, I don't know, would it really make that much difference if we knew what they were?
No.
Right now, it's more about survival. And I don't care what they are, in reality, just get away from me. I need to survive.
One of my main questions after the film ended was, is this isolated to just this one area or is this worldwide? And I think that's fascinating. It's a question that many people will have. Michael, do you think your character, and when you were building a backstory, no matter how deeply you went into it, when you were building a backstory for Bill, do you think Bill, your character, and Danny's father, who's your brother in the movie, do you think your character felt a responsibility to sort of look after Danny?
Yeah. Well, not to just be there for him as a guy, like boys need, a male figure around. Yeah. And just being around, of course, I'm not going to let him get bullied or anything like that, but I'm not going to help him with his algebra homework.
Yeah.
It's, let's go camping, let's go fishing. Let's do stuff that, boys like to do. And
more like a friend relationship than a parental type.
Well, the uncle without real responsibility. That's why I say, well, I'll take him camping, but I'm not going to help him with his algebra homework.
Exactly.
Which is probably going to get him a better job when he grows up. But camping is fun. Fishing is fun.
or give him relationship advice. Definitely not. Which, Dale, that brings me to you. Gwen plays Danny's fiance, I guess, is a good term.
Yep.
Their relationship is very complicated. She, throughout the whole film, Danny's a cop. She wants him to leave the force. She's afraid that he's going to get killed on the job. How do you view their dynamics as a relationship, as a couple? On her, she seemed pretty serious that she was going to break this off if he did not leave the force, which, from a man's perspective, being given that ultimatum, hey, choose your career or me, puts a man in a very hard spot. So how do you view their dynamics?
Yeah, it is complex. And depending on how you view her, you could think that she's very controlling and hard. At the same time, she's the character that really just loves him so much that she probably doesn't want to lose him.
Yeah.
That's my take on it. And it's interesting that you brought up the opening of the film, in that sequence. I fought very hard to shoot an opening sequence that wasn't necessarily written, but it would have set it up differently. It would have been the moment that they all talk about in exposition, which is the robbery. I think that if we perhaps find it an opportunity to see some of that, what happened and how he was affected by that shooting, that effect probably would have affected the audience perhaps in a different way, and influenced our feelings about Gwen, because it would have been harrowing and scary and all of that. Imagine that in like body cam or something, like you're really there. And in this world, it would have made it rather relevant with all the videos and things that we see online all the time. But anyway, yeah, I mean, they have a very complex relationship, and it was one that was only answered by what happens in the film for these two characters. But
absolutely. And we're not going to give away any spoilers. I want to thank the both of you guys for coming on here. Again, the movie is called They Crawl Beneath. It is coming out tomorrow on Blu-ray in digital. Dale, as far as you know, is it going tomorrow on video on demand, or is tomorrow just a Blu-ray digital release?
I believe it's going to be available digital, Blu-ray, and DVD.
Okay. So, all right. Yeah. So there you guys go. Check it out. I'm sure Amazon will have it for order. This is a very fun creature film. If you love creature films, you're going to love this. Michael, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I noticed, Michael, you have like 20 projects that are coming up. You are a very, very busy man. As a final question, do you feel blessed to have had, and your career that is still going, I mean, do you feel blessed to have had the career that you are having right now?
Absolutely. That's why I say there is definitely magic involved, and a blessing. That magic. It's I'm very fortunate, but I love my job, man. I love making movies.
Anybody who watches this can tell just by watching you speak how much you love your craft, and you're great at it. I want to thank you guys so much. I want to thank our audience, those of you who have tuned in live, and those of you who will be watching this later on. Again, the movie They Crawl Beneath, starring Michael Parè, directed by Dale Fabrigar, available tomorrow on Blu-ray and digital. On behalf of Michael, Dale, and myself, guys, stay safe and stay walking. Bye-bye.
Thanks, John.